Michael, I think your audio just needs to be connected and then you're good. Amazing. Good to see you. You're muted.
Okay.
There we go. How are you?
Hey, amazing. How are you?
Amazing. I think Michael's still
Good.
trying to get his audio connected.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and blast this out.
See you with those backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's please. The green screen's getting better.
Thanks.
Big deal. Those are sick.
Learn to spend 80% of your time as a leader with the 20%. For maximum efficiency and productivity, this is part of the key. Since it's going to be 80-20, and there's plenty of examples to show that it's 80-20, not exactly, but fairly close. Ask the minister of the church who picks up the tab here, and he'll say probably 20% of the people pick up 80% of the tab. I mean, this is called one of those things, okay? So what do? Well, you learn to work with it and not try to solve it. It's like trying to solve the seasons. You don't solve the seasons, you learn to work with the seasons. They're all set. And some of these things by history are all set. The key is to learn to work with the way it is set. So part of the key of leadership is learning to spend 80% of your time with the 20% because they're doing the 80%. We would call that good leadership sense. Now you say, well, how do you do that? Let me give you part of the answer in how to do that. Here it is. Spend individual time with the 20% and group time with the 80%. This is part of the answer to leadership skills. However, guess who wants your individual time? The wrong group. But that's what life's all about, right? Accepting this challenge. So now you've got to be what we call clever. And you've got to be, another key word, diplomatic. Diplomacy and strategy are two key words for leadership to understand. Diplomacy and strategy. Here's part of the diplomacy. Mary comes and says, I've got a question. You say, Mary, bring your question Saturday morning. I'm going to meet with everybody and I'll cover it then. She says, okay. Now, it might not be that easy. But if you start trying to put this in perspective now, groups, you can deal with the 80% by groups, and you can talk to the 20% individual. Now, the pull is in the opposite direction, and it always is. Gravity is the downward pull. Life is the struggle in the opposite direction of gravity. It's downward pull. Life is moving in the opposite direction of the normal negative. Now somebody says, well, I'll just fire the 80%. They're only doing 20% of the business. Well, I wouldn't fool with that. Because after you've fired the 80%, before too long, whoever is left, 20% of them will be doing 80% of the business, and 80% will be doing 20%. Right? This is not something you fire. This is something you learn to work with. The 80-20 rule, very important rule.
That's good. That's good. We'll get started here in a few minutes, guys. Trying to see if there's anybody else jumping on. Michael, you might want to hop out and then hop back in because your audio still says it's connecting. I don't know if you can hear us. If you can hear us, then then you're Gucci. But leave in the chats if you can't hear us.
What if you could do SEO smarter and faster? With Wix, you can edit.
What is happening, Sienna? It's good to see you here. All right, guys, if you are just jumping in, go ahead and leave in the comments where you guys are tuning in from today. Michael will still get that audio sorted out. You might need to hop back out, hop back in, and then we can rock and roll from there. But if you guys tune in, just leave in the comments where you guys are tuning in from, and then Femi and I will kick it off here in just a few minutes. We got Pennsylvania. I know Michael's up in Canada, so he's all the way from Canada. Femi's over in Miami or Palm Beach right now. I'm over in Dallas, so you guys, this is my favorite thing. It's my favorite call, favorite time to be with you guys. I know Femi and I came together and we were like, let's do something on a Saturday, because the majority of things aren't happening on Saturdays, and this is a way for us to make sure that we keep ourselves accountable to our growth, to our standards, to our things, and bring each other along for the ride. And it's been a fun, I think this is what, episode 9, week 9, couple like that. I think it is week 9, yeah. So 9 weeks strong, and it's been one of the coolest little experiences that we've gotten to do with talking to you guys, getting to start to train and teach more, and really just dive into what both of us have been learning, because it's honestly, I've never met anybody in my life that I've been more in sync with than Femi, and it is unreal the amount of things that I message her about and she's like, I literally just learned that lesson, or this just happened, and so when I say like we're both collectively learning together and bringing these things to you guys on a weekly basis, it's real. And whether Femi's learning it or I'm learning it this week, and I needed that message last week, we've got it now sorted out to where this goes back onto our YouTube channels, and you guys can go see the recordings, and so it's been awesome. Today I know is going to be a really cool conversation, because we are going to talk a little bit about the law of 80-20 in business and life and relationships in all areas. The law of 80-20 applies in everything, and then Femi's got a really cool training that she heard this week from one of her mentors, and she's gonna crush it, because that we were talking about it today and I was just like, that makes so much sense. Everybody needs to know about this stuff, because the better we get with people, the better we get with ourselves, the better we understand each other, the better we can work, and the better we can be in harmony and have this synergy around work and play and fun and life. And I don't know about you guys, I don't really believe in balance. I believe in harmony and synergy, and we can work, we can play, we can do all these things together. And it doesn't have to be the way that it used to be. And so, Femi, I'm super excited to have you on. Yeah, I believe in rhythm, like the rhythm of, thanks for that. I was like, what is the word? Synergy, all the things. But yeah, I don't really believe in balance, but I believe in rhythm. And so when we're in a rhythm of learning, of growing, of evolving, of changing, guys, we're always going to be changing. That's the one thing we can count on, is we're always changing. And so whether we're changing in a way that we don't necessarily know how to navigate, somebody somewhere knows how to navigate that. And so the more you stay around community, the more you get around people, the more we learn from each other, the better we become as individuals, and the better we can become for other people. And so I'm super excited to hear from you, Femi. Tell me what was up this week. What did you learn this week? And give me the rundown.
Yes, hi everybody. We get miracles and we expect miracles. This week has been super powerful trainings, like just back to back. And I don't think it's a coincidence because there's just so much going on, like on every aspect, like with us having like these beautiful blue moons that we've been having, and just being in sync with everything, and just how there's just a shift. And I think it's in everybody's life. I don't even think it's just us, you know. Hopefully everybody's aware enough to take advantage of it, you know what I mean? But it's been a great week. I've been learning so much. And like you said, this is something that is our way of giving back, and also to sharing. I always say that, you know, if you're learning value and you can't pass it on, it's not really value. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing with it? Right? So it's awesome that we get to do this. You know, we get to do these calls, and I love doing them with you as well. And but I'm really excited. I don't want to start talking because I'm gonna get like right into what I want to, you know what I mean? Like right what I want to talk about, and just give you guys the whole spiel and like just run it. But it's been some really powerful trainings, because it's an important time for us in our business, and because we have like the biggest convention we've ever had. You know, Grace and I and a few others on this call, we're about to be in a space of like 10,000 people. And that energy is about to be next level. And it's literally called Breakthrough. And I'm so excited for the breakthrough, because you know, that's where we get new ideas, that's where we evolve, that's where we see the different versions of ourselves, when we're in places like that, and we're around people that has more, that's doing more, that could teach us more on a high level. So I'm super excited. So like I feel like this week's just been a mental challenge and prep week, you know what I mean? To really, like, do you really want this? And then like, oh, distraction here, this is here, this is here. Oh, are you gonna show up? Oh, okay, here you go. This problem's coming your way. Are you still going? You know what I mean? So I feel like it's just been one of those weeks. And also too, one thing that one of my mentors was saying, Mina, because she's super into, you know, astrology. And I think there's a very much truth to astrology, because God created the stars.
Yeah.
And she was saying like this is the week where there's like, this is the time frame, especially too, like opening a whole brand new month. Oh my gosh, happy September, everybody. OMG. If you haven't done your monthly evaluation, do your monthly evaluation. Ask yourself, how was August? What did you do well? What didn't you do well? What will you improve on? And what tools and resources and people and things that you need to go to the next level in the month of September. But yeah, Mina was saying how this is the week where a lot of things are going to be shifting. Like a lot of things are going to be left behind, the people, the concepts, the ideas, and the habits. And again, like I said earlier, hopefully everybody's aware of this shift and they can use it, you know what I mean, to their advantage, to be better, to do better, and grow. But yeah, but this week has been definitely character building all around. But it's still amazing because we get to do this. We get to live. You know what I mean? We get to grow. We get to use our higher faculties. We're the only species that has this intelligence. So we get to do this.
It's we get to do all of this. We get to do this call. We get to do all of the things that we choose to do. And this one's a little side tangent, but I've been listening to Rob Dyrdek, and he was at Break the Code event, and he was zooming into the call because it honestly just didn't make sense for him to fly there and do all the things. And from a logical standpoint, from a time standpoint, he's so systematic. And he's talking about like, we obviously can't control everything, but we can control our emotions and we can control our choices. And I was like, and it's like, and it doesn't matter. And he's like, and if the more choices that we stack up in our favor, the less emotional response comes from those choices later. And I was like, bro, okay. Because it's like, even if you're in a situation, you somehow still got yourself in that situation. Choices. And I was like, dang, it's the personal accountability from all aspects, because it really does add up. And I was like, man, he really challenged me, because I'm like thinking about situations where I'm like, okay, well, if I would have made this choice 3 years ago, then this wouldn't be my. And I was like, okay, I start to put the pieces together. And I'm like, okay, but now in the current moment, I have the choice of the emotions and the feelings and the responses that I get to have in that situation. He's like, still your choice. And I was like, dude, okay. So because I wasn't aware of it back then, now we're aware of it now. It's like, okay, you can have bad things, you can have circumstances, you can have situations that aren't in your favor, but your choice and your response to those things matter in that moment now. And I was like, oh, okay. we went heavy on the podcast this week. But I am going to kind of break down to you guys really simply like the law of 80-20. And then Femi's going to cover the next side of this, because she was telling me about this, guys, and I was like, everybody needs to know these 10 steps of how humans operate. And I was like, because it's so real. In the majority of things that we have in life, we have 80% of the people do 20% of the work. 20% of the people do 80% of the work. You can look at every single group, unit, team, class. It doesn't matter what it is. You can look at a group of people and you can say, where's the 20%? And then you can see what the 20% is doing. And if you see what the 20% is doing and you aren't in the 20% and you're not doing the things that the 20% is doing, how do we get there? We have to bridge the gap. And so we have to understand where we are in certain things. And honestly, sometimes you're going to be in the 80 and you don't even care to be in the 20. And it might be just for that time being, it might be that for that frame, like for that time frame, and eventually you'll want to be in the 20%. But majority of people in business, there's an 80-20% rule applies in how much work you do. So think about it from like a CEO. You have a CEO who works all the time. They're doing 80% of the work, majority of the time. And they hire more people to do 20% of the work. And then they give them more responsibilities. And then they give them more responsibilities. But at some level, they're still doing 80% of the work. They're just doing different type of work. And so when it comes to kind of noticing where you are in your business, in your life, in your family, in your friends, like, are we giving and not receiving? Are we giving to the group? Are we extending ourselves in a way that's actually beneficial to other people? Like, are we being a producer? Is the real name of the game, is like, how can we become better producers, producing more money for businesses, more clients for businesses, more things for ourselves to actually create better systems, products, tools, all the things in business, but in life in general, like in families and relationships. How are we adding to the 20%? How can we be more in those moments? And I know for me, that's a stretch for me and family. I'm not all there. Like, I'm very much in my business box and very much in my I'm going to go do this and be in the 20%. But at some level it slips in the family side. And so somebody else is covering my weight. And so it's like, is it going to be like that forever? No. But for a season, there's different ways to navigate that. And so I think Femi's got this really good training when it comes to how this looks and the specific examples of the conversations that people have. And you can start to see where you are and what what type of person, and where you just fall in these categories, and then how to actually make a plan towards changing and adapting and growing through the process. And so, Femi, I'm super excited to hear a little bit about the training that you got this week from a legend that is by far I mean, I'm just shocked that he even like takes the time to train people, because he doesn't have to. He literally could just stop doing everything and be good and never teach anybody else anything. And the fact that he spends his time teaching the 20% that are hungry enough to go learn, I'm just grateful to learn from you.
I appreciate you. I'm happy to learn from you. That was a bar, sis. The more you stack up things in your favor, the less emotional responses you'll have. That got me. I was like, I need to write that one immediately.
Like, write that down.
Because yeah, because it's so true though. Like we really need to constantly keep coming back to, okay, what choices did I make? You know, and were they conscious? Because some of them are not conscious. Some of them are subconscious because of our paradigm, you guys. And all the paradigm means is your habitual, a multitude of your habits, a multitude of your thoughts, the way that you process things, the way that you do things. So like that was so good. But hold on, let me finish writing the last thing you were talking about, the 80-20, because I think it's really important to know that, because some people that are in the business world or know of things like that, they think it is just for business, but no, like in reality it is for everything. You know, the 80% of the time when when I am here, I am pouring into my kids, I am doing what I have to do, I'm being a mom, like the 20% of my business is being ran by my partners, because your girl is momming, okay? And then and then there's times where I have to do that sacrifice. I have to buckle down, and I have to be focused on this 20%, because I know, because every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something. Yep. And one of my mentors always tells us that, and he says, be very conscious of the choices that you're making, because it's always no to something else. But sometimes we have to say no now so we can say yes later, like you said. With family and that situation, it won't be forever, you know what I mean? But for the moment in time, that's what it'll be. But we're gonna get right into this. It's you guys, this is so good. So this was from one of my mentors, Chris Derrick, and he is, like she said, like he's he's so of value, it's ridiculous. Because sometimes you're like, the fact that you're just taking your time to just, what I mean, pour into people, and right. you don't have to, what I mean, he gets to. But if you're taking notes, you can label this the 10 false versions of yourself. The 10 false versions of yourself. And it was interesting too, because like when I first like was hearing it, I was just like, what do you mean the false version of ourselves? But it's in this aspect, like everything that I'm gonna be going through, most likely we've all fell in every category. Sometimes in different situations, sometimes in different seasons, but we've all been through this. But now the aspect of it is just now to use the awareness to now control that, right? And like she says, tie it into stacking things into your favor, right? Because all of these are based off of emotional responses, and as I was telling her earlier, sometimes these versions of yourselves, you fall into them because you don't know, because you're not aware, because this this experience is new, it makes you uncomfortable, and you don't know, so you automatically retreat to what you do know from your past, from your experience. But we're going to get right into it. So the first version of ourselves is the I'm good version, right? We've all heard that, every time you go somewhere, you ask someone something, hey, how are you? I'm good. You're at the store, oh, I'm good. And people that may come to church for the first time, or may come to a setting or something new, for the first time, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm good. So this is, and it's not to say that you can't tell people that you're good. you know, that's great. But there's also a false version of this, because you know, people, you'll be like, oh, hey, like, how are you? I'm good. I'm blessed and highly favored. But you're going through emotional turmoil. You're going through financial turmoil. You're going through a divorce. Someone just died. Like, you're going through something that's traumatic and detrimental, but you're lying to your inner spirit and the people around you, saying that you're good. You're not good. And it's okay to not be good. It's just okay to not stay there, right? And to lie to yourself and say that, you know, nothing's ever going to get better. Cool. The only aspect of this, it's okay to express. That's all that the point of this is. It's okay to express, and it's okay to not be good, right? That's why you have community. That's why iron sharpens iron. There are times where you will need someone to just go over, sit a coffee, dinner, whatever it is, and you just need to express what you have going on. You know what I mean? You just need to express what you have going on and talk about it, debunk it, deroot it, and go through it, right? We oftentimes always want everybody in the world to be honest with us, but we're not honest with ourselves, you know, and that is the biggest thing you can ever do, jeopardizing your emotional integrity. When you keep telling yourself and you keep telling people around you that you're good and you know that you're not, you're lowering that relationship, you know, that aspect with your inner spirit and yourself. Now in your mind, when you are actually good, you're saying good, your mind and, you know, your neurological aspect of you is just gonna refrain back to how you were always flagging. And flagging is just a term for, you know, you're lying to yourself, and you're telling yourself that, you know, you're good, but in actual reality you are trying to actually be good, but the same habitual thoughts keep coming up. But you built that relationship with yourself, you kept lying to yourself, right? So that's the I'm good aspect. And that one hit me because that's what I did when I didn't want people to get close to me. Mind your business, I'm good. Like, I used to always say that. That used to be me. So that one really resonated. I was like, wow, like, that's really is not healthy. You know what I mean? It's okay to not be good, but it's also it's okay to affirm that you are getting better, you are abundant when you are going through things, because you do need to uplift yourself. But in the moments that you're truly not, be honest. I'm not good right now. It's been a week. It's been a day. It's character building for me right now. I'm going through a rough season. I'm being challenged. You know, express it. Talk about it. We forget to be all the way human sometimes. We forget to go through the emotions. We can feel the emotions, go through it, but don't stay there, and then come up with that solution of how you're going to get out of it. And most of it starts with in community. Find someone that you trust, someone that is not going to judge you, that has, you know, their best interest in you, and then, you know, and then tackle that on, right? Okay, the next false version of ourselves is the over spiritual. This one was really funny to me, because I've been in situations in rooms where it's a business setting, but the person or the host, they're being over spiritual. You know what I mean? And get it straight. Like, you know, I believe in God. I'm a believer, the whole nine. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be anywhere without God, right? And it's funny because I would be in the rooms and I would feel the uncomfortability of the other people, right? Usually this version of ourselves, the over spiritual aspect, is because we're having difficulty dealing with, you know, a habit, or, you know, as they say in believer terms, a sin, or something that we're just really struggling with. So like we overanalyze and we're over just throwing spirituality in conversations and things. And there's nothing wrong with bringing up God, or, you know, the higher power, or just referring to that in the moments of encouragement or situation. But you need to learn how to use it in what context, because sometimes, you know, we're using it and it's not even the time and place for that right now. Sometimes that person just needs you to listen. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it just needs to be expressed, or sometimes it just needs to be looked at in a different perspective. You know what I mean? So like, it's okay to be spiritual, right? But being this version of you, like you need to focus on your own spiritual life. And the people that you know that are like that, they need to focus on their own spiritual life. They need to grow that relationship with themselves, that self-love, and that relationship with God, and focus on just that. Help themselves first. You know what I mean? Like there's a term where they say, you know, take the speck out of your own eye before you go do it for someone else. And usually that's the situation with that. And again, there's nothing wrong with bringing up, you know, God and spirituality out of, you know, at business events or at certain things, but don't do a Bible study when it's something that has to do with, you know, focusing on, you know, what's going on or the business. Like just keep it on task, right? And we don't have to over analyze and over spiritualize everything, because sometimes it just needs to be practical. This is what it is, and this is what we're facing, this is what we have to focus on. You know what I mean? Cool. And I'm not saying like, because there are times where God does use people. God used people, conversations, podcasts, things, all of that to reach someone. It's very true, right? But in the aspect where, you know, it's you have control, or maybe you're around someone that's over spiritual, you know what I mean? And if you are comfortable and you have that relationship with them, you know, let them know to focus on themselves when it comes to that, because there are people that are in different phases of their faith. You know what I mean? And I used, back in the day, I used to say, you know, when I first, you know, became a believer, I used to say like, it's, you know, certain people like, you know, like the people that like shove the Bible down people's faces and that are like, you know, you're gonna burn in hell. Like, that's too much. Like, you are scaring people, right? So even if they needed that, they do need prayer, they need that encouragement or that community, they are now terrified to take that step because of that bad experience they had with that person, or you know, with you, if you were the one to do that. You know what I mean? So that's usually what it is. And I've found myself in this aspect too, you know, especially first being a believer and everything. Like, yes, it's great, you know, the higher power, which you believe in, and because you need it. That you did not create yourself. Okay, sorry to break it down for you. Like, you didn't create yourself. Science didn't create you. It's impossible. You're not that powerful. We have a higher intellect outside of us that controls everything, you know. But at the same time too, sometimes human and human is cool, right? It's okay. The other false version of ourselves is the highly intellectual one. Now, this is the people that they have a tendency to always be right, or to always have the last word, or to always point out, you know, a factual statistic to, you know, just put the cherry on top for that conversation. It's okay. Even if you do know something, it's okay to allow someone else to know, to say what they know. You know what I mean? If you know how many trainings I've heard before, and I've already heard it, but I'm not in the chats like, can we talk about something else? I've already heard this. No, because you guys have to understand, we're constantly going through levels of learning, right? If you weren't on that week's episode, it's on our YouTube, and we broke down the 4 levels of learning, right? And you go through those 4 steps of levels of learning for everything until you become a master of it, right? The over intellectual person, they always want to have the last word. They always, you know what I mean? Like, just ready to just interject, cut off people. Like, for people like this, like, if you've been in that season or you are that person, you need to just learn how to listen. Just be. Allow people to express and to say, even if you know it, let them talk about it. You might learn something new. You guys, we don't know everything. You don't know what you don't know. Even in a certain topic that, yes, you may have, you know, for example, I have a bachelor's in exercise and health promotion. I love talking about physiology, biology, the body, anatomy. But when I come across someone else, a professor or another student or someone or whoever, whether they have a degree or not, but we're talking about that topic, I'm never to be like, yeah, I already took that class. Yeah, I already know. If someone invites you to dinner, are you going to say, oh, no, I already ate. I ate before. And you're not going to go to dinner? No, right? Because it's a different experience every time. When you go to a different restaurant, it's a different experience. When you eat different food, it's a different experience, right? You're not going to say, oh, I ate spaghetti one time in my life, so now I'll never eat spaghetti again. there's different types of spaghettis. You know what I mean? You get the gist? But that's the same thing with highly intellectual people. Like you just need to learn how to listen. Be there, ask questions, right? And it's okay to know a lot. There's nothing wrong with being highly intellectual, but the thing is just use your intellect to help people. You know what I'm saying? Do it like that. Use the intellect to help people. I am gonna go over, well, I kind of have been going over like the solution, like the aspect to not be that person. But that's what it is for highly intellectual. Like use it to help others, because even though you may not mean it, sometimes in conversations you're diminishing people, you're belittling them, you're cutting them off, you're not allowing them to share their thoughts and their process, right? And sometimes we may not mean it. Sometimes we do. We're in these versions of ourselves subconsciously. Like I said earlier, it may be just because it's off of, past habits, or you've been, however you were triggered and you didn't know how to deal with the situation. So you're just doing what you know, or what you subconsciously know, right? The next person, this one hit me. This is the helper, right? The helper is the person that never truly gets momentum and productivity in what they're doing, their business and their life. They don't scale anything in their life because they're always helping people. They don't know how to say no. They don't know how to say, no, I'm working on my business right now. I need to focus. No, I'm working on spending more time with my family right now. I can't go out. No, I need to study. Like, they don't know how to say no. They're always putting people in front of themselves instead of helping themselves first. Like, it's okay to choose you first. And this is something that like I constantly still like deal with. I have a motherly nature of helping everybody and anybody that says that they need me, because I'm a servant leader at heart. I'll serve whoever, however I can, like I said earlier, like I believe that the real value is sharing it. My lessons and the things I've been through, I would love to pass it on to whoever, because I would never want someone to go through what I went through. But in that aspect, like I need to have boundaries to just tell people, no, right now, this is what I'm focusing on. And that has taken a huge toll, like on my business and the things that I've been doing, because like I'm always just helping family, driving this person here, bring this person to the doctor's appointment, saying that, doing that. And it's like, I can't do this right now. No, because you have to think about it. What would people do if you weren't there? They would still get things done, but this one, like it really hit, because we have to just constantly remind ourselves, like, to truly help and serve other people, you have to help yourself first. You have to work on you first. Okay, you have to be selfish to be selfless later. Okay, and that's one thing that, because I'm like, oh well, I don't want people to think I'm not there for them. And because I'm involved in a lot of things. I partake a lot in my community. I serve at church. I'm on the worship team. I have a business. I'm a mentor. I have students. I'm a mom. So like I'm always serving, I'm always helping. And there's seasons for that. But even in being a helper, you help in the way that helps you scale things. You help in the way that helps you scale your business. You help family in the way that will help you with your time, right? And it's okay. And then there's nothing wrong with it, because our community, we leverage each other. That's what our community is for. We do use each other, but we use each other in an intentional and loving way, right? Obviously not to take advantage and, overexert ourselves and other people. So help it's okay to be a helper, but help in the way that you can scale things. You do better with your business, you can do better with your time and yourself. And it's an even exchange of energy, time, and effort, right? The next false version of ourselves is the nice person. This one was really funny to me, because I know so many people that are in this category. I too once was this person in high school. The nice person also too never gets to scale anything in their life. They're never productive. They never really do what they want, because they're afraid of conflict. They're afraid to have the hard conversations, right? They rather just, let things be than shake things up and have turmoil. We need turmoil. We need all of that. We need those hard conversations. I live by the hard truth. My kids, they're ages 7 and 8. They can tell you the definition of a hard truth. That's something I ingrained in them. I was like, this family, we're going to be a family that lives a life of hard truths. There will be times and situations where you're going to be told something that you don't want to hear, but it is out of the true genuine love that you need to hear this because you need to grow, and I want to see you grow. I want to see you do better, right? And nice people, they can't really do that. They can't have this conversation, so therefore they stay stagnant in everything that they're doing, right? And also the thing about the nice person always, they're always hanging out, defending, and close to people that are not good for them because they see the good in all of them. That one hit my soul, y'all, because I see the good in everybody. I'm like, okay, well, nobody really wants to hang out with you, but that's okay because I know your potential in this, or I've seen a different version of you that other people haven't seen, and that's the person that I go by. But in reality, you know, they're holding you back, man. They're holding you back with everything that you're with what you're doing. And it's okay to still have those people. I'm not saying be mean. I'm not saying be rude and cut up. That's not what I'm saying, right? But you can still be nice, meet people, and leave them where they're at. Meet people where they're at, and then leave them where they're at. Because if they're not helping themselves, and they're not growing, and they're not aligned with your values, your morals, your ethos, and everything that you do, you gotta leave them where they're at. You know, you could check on them here and there. Hey, what's going on? Love you, praying for you, wishing you the best. But that goes in, and think about what Grace said. The 80-20 applies to all of this, right? Some of these false versions of ourselves are the reason why we can't focus on being the 20, because we're too busy being the 80, being these versions. You're too busy being nice. You're too busy helping, right? You're too busy being highly intellectual. You're too busy being I'm good. So you can't tackle the things that need that 20% of that focus, the grit, the discipline, and, you know, sacrificing now to have easy later. So with the nice person, it's to meet and leave the people where they're at, right? If they want to grow, they want to get challenged, cool, you'll see it and they'll be doing the work. And if not, fine, leave them where they're at. Check on them, but have that boundary, that strong boundary, and you can still be kind. But you saying no and you having boundaries doesn't make you a mean person. And that's something that I had to learn, and being in the business that I am, it definitely taught me that, right? Look, you have to, what you don't sacrifice now, everything you want will be a sacrifice later. So you might as well get it over with now, and you can still be kind. You don't know, maybe in a different season those people will be, you know, you'll be able to be around them. The next version of ourselves is the surface dwellers. This is people that you're around all the time, and it's always a great time. You feel great around these people. They're good people, good energy, but that's it. You have no idea about their emotions. You don't know how they feel. You don't know their emotions. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know their deep thoughts. Everything, it never gets deep. The moment it gets deep, it's shifted. These are also the people that hide behind, you know, entertainment, laughter, and just always having a great time and just always just hanging out, you know, and they're good people. They're good vibes. You love going out with them. You love being around them. You love having them over, but that's it. There's never a deep conversation. There's never an evolving conversation, right? And with people like that, you have to get deep. You have to get deep. You have to crack the surface. You know what I mean? Ask those questions. Like, how come you never get deep? You know what I mean? Like, to have a serious conversation about something, because it can't always be just laughter and great time and he, because in reality, that's how, you know, not to get morbid or anything, but honestly, that's how people miss, you know, situations where people that are suicidal or people that are actually depressed. You know what I mean? Because y'all always have a great time with them. They're the happiest person on earth. But that's because you guys don't know that they're surface dwellers. No one took the time to dig deep with them. No one took the time to really ask them what's truly going on. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that you'll always get there, because some surface dwellers are good at being surface dwellers, right? I'm a surface dwellers with people that are trying to get close to me, and I don't want them to be close to me. They'll have a great time with me. I'll pour into them. I'll shift their mindset and all of that. But after that, they ain't going to know anything else about me, because I don't want them to, right? And it happens, because there's some people that are like that. But I had to learn that, especially if I want to utilize the community when I'm actually going through something, I'm not going to wait until my back is against the wall to reach out. And because that's a bad habit that being a surface dweller created, right? And I always resorted back, oh, I'm an introvert. I always used that as defense, you know what I mean? But in reality, I was being a surface dweller. I didn't want nobody to be close to me because, you know, with my experience, the betrayal and the drama and all the stuff that I went through, I'm like, oh, maybe it's just better to just, you know, keep it as surface. Now, who I am now, I cannot stand surface level conversations, you guys. And I peep it from a mile away. If the first 2 minutes and like I'm a deep person. Life is deep. Everything is deep. Everything has an evolution. Everything evolves. So I don't have time to talk about the weather. If we talk about the weather, I start talking about everything behind the weather. The person that made the weather. Like it gets deep for me. I'm just like that. I don't do surface level and I sense it from a mile away. But if you have surface dwellers in your life or you are one, like you have to be careful with that because, you know, it's not healthy. You won't really have true community, you know what I mean? And when you really have an emotional need, you won't have anyone. You won't really have because nobody really truly knows you. You know what I mean? And in that too, like you won't be able to connect with the people that you can actually relate with because everybody thinks you relate the same way. Right. So we have to be careful about being surface dwellers or having surface dwellers. It's just getting deep, having those open conversations, asking you know, questions that are not, they can't just be yes or no, open-ended questions. You know, that's how you can get through surface dwellers. And the next false version of ourselves is the achiever, right? This is the person that has to get everything under the sun done, right? It's just on the go, go, go. It doesn't stop. And there's nothing wrong with being achiever, but you definitely get burnt out and you need to manage your activity, right? It's okay to have an activity where it is not income producing, it is not running the business. Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's slowing down and reading a book, or maybe it's just not doing anything. You know what I mean? Just doing something that you care about. But the being an overachiever, how you have the rhythm with this is focus on service. Focus on serving others, right? And not just trying to tackle everything that you have to do all the time and having to finish X, Y, and Z in the third. I get it though, because we always need to move with a sense of urgency at all times, right? At all times. But it's okay to not do something that you have to do. Sometimes you just have to, you know, have that rhythm and not work on the business, work on your self-love, have a self-love Saturday, take yourself out, you know, look good, think good, do something that you love. Like it's okay to slow down, right? And then we have 3 more and then we're done. They read all the books, they're watching all the podcasts, they follow all the motivational people on Instagram. They just intake. They're spewing out quotes and they're spewing out concepts, ideas, and everything in between, but they do not apply a darn thing. They're still in the same position. They're still exactly where they were a few months ago. Listen, you cannot confuse progression and movement. You can be moving in one position. You can stand still and be running and you think you're running, but you're not. You're not doing anything. So we have to be really careful with being it is knowledge overload, the knowledge overloader. And this is, you know, when you're just constantly consuming and taking information, but it needs to be applied, right? It needs to be applied. With this person, like you have to just apply the knowledge. Stop learning for a moment and apply. Okay, you had a training, you learned, for instance, today you learned all of this valuable information, right? Now you're going to do something that's called ACT, right? You're going to apply it. You're going to change something regarding the information that you received. You're going to use to change something about yourself in your life, and then you're going to teach someone else to do it. Not only so you can retain the information, but you can get into that habit with yourself of applying. I have a thing on the wall right here, and it says, I am excellent at execution. When I first got into the business that I'm in now, I used to go to all these seminars and have books of notes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great and whatnot. Until one day my mentor was saying, you know, you can have all this knowledge, you could be writing down all these notes, but they don't matter. They're gonna stay your uncashed checks if you do not apply them. And I was like, oh my gosh. Now I'm like, okay, now I have so much to apply. Now I have to just do. I have to do, of course, keep learning. You need to always keep learning, because if you're not growing, you're dying. But you need to apply. Apply the things that you learn, even if it's in the small practical way. The moment you learn something, you have 48 hours to actually 72 to apply it. Other than that, when you don't apply it, it leaves your mind. It does not become subconsciously planted. It's as if you never learned it, right? And then the last two, the last one is not the last one, the second to last one is the busy one. You have a season and you're so busy. I'm busy. And it kind of ties into, you know, what I was saying, not confusing progression and movement, but the busy one. You're too busy to spend time with your wife. You're too busy to read a book. You're too busy to spend time with your kids. You're too busy to pick up the phone and tell someone that you love them and you care about them. You're too busy. You're so busy. Listen, don't let life pass you by. Right? Yes, live your days like they're numbered, but live as if you have 1,000 years to live. Be present, right? And also for the solution for this is collect data, right? Collect data. Actually track what you're doing so you know that you're actually busy. You don't want to just be busy and you're not doing anything. And also too can be a mechanism to avoid, right? To not deal with things that are going on and face them head on, right? I know I've been this person. I've been so busy. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm busy. I can't. My schedule's so booked, and I'm not really doing anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm avoiding stuff. I'm avoiding people. I'm avoiding life. So with this, track your data. You know what I mean? Be productive. You know, not busy. Be productive. Actually get things done. And one thing that with just a side note to productivity and being busy, sometimes, you know, you may have a character building day and may throw you off, right? And it kind of ties into what Grace said, like stack the small things, right? They may not feel good now, but they will help you feel better after, and you'll actually feel productive and you can actually get into the flow of things. You know what I mean? Doing laundry, sweeping, cleaning your room. Those things are small things that you can stack and be actual productive, and then you can fall into you'll feel good and you'll be encouraged to do the things that you actually do need to do and to be productive, not just busy work, right? So collect data and track what you do. And then the last one, perfect, because we have like 5 minutes. The last one is a perfectionist. I'm sure we all have this version of ourselves in different seasons. But everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be just right before I take a trade. Everything has to be just right before I have this difficult conversation. Everything has to be just right before I make this phone call. Everything has to be just right before I actually, you know, do this one thing. Everything has to be just right. Listen, life is life. Life be lifing, y'all. Okay, if you've never heard that term, remember you heard it here first. Life be lifing. Life will life you randomly, okay? You cannot try to make every single thing perfect. Preparation is great. I'm not saying not to be prepared. Be prepared, plan, write things down, do all of that. But not everything has to be perfect. And sometimes those unperfect moments and times and days, you need them so they can play out exactly, so you can learn that lesson that you need. So you can grasp that nugget that you need, or that one concept that you needed, whatever the case is, you guys. Nothing has to be exactly perfect, right? And being too perfect, you don't execute, right? And then that also too, like that can accumulate fear. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're so afraid of things not working out. You're so afraid it's okay to not be in control. It's okay. It's okay to not be in control. It's okay to not know. You did your best, you prepared, but you are also present, and you also allowed everything to work in your favor. If you believe that everything works in your favor, this one you won't really have a problem with. I have it right here. We get miracles and we expect miracles. Everything you want already exists. It's on my board. And every time I look at that, when I want to control everything and being a mom too, like it's normal because you know what I mean? Like they're 7 and 8. Like I run this. Like sit down. Like you know what I mean? Like I control the situation. But there are times where like, I have to take myself out of that. Life doesn't happen like that. You know what I mean? Life will be life in. So you guys, everything does not have to be perfect. But that was the last one, and those were the 10 false version of ourselves. And I encourage you, to go over this and look at this and see where you're at. See the person that you're being. Again, we resort to these when we don't really want to deal with the situation or we don't really know how to, right? Make sure you're present and you're all there and you're not being these versions of yourselves, and you can actually receive what you need to and share it and pass it on and do what you have to. But yeah, you guys, that was everything. I hope that you got value, and yeah, I'm happy that I was able to share this and pass on the knowledge. Yeah, so that's it for me.
I would love to, if you guys want to unmute or turn your camera on and say like biggest takeaway, like I'd love to hear what you guys thought, or what your biggest takeaway was.
Yeah, facts.
Sienna.
Hey, family. First
Hey.
and foremost, I'm just so grateful that I was able to tap into this one. I honestly didn't know that you guys were doing this, but I happened to be in your group chat and then I seen a Zoom link. So I'm like, oh, let me tap in. Let me see what they got going on. And like, I was just like listening this whole time and I was just like, wow, I kind of felt a lot of those, like almost a little bit of every single one of those. So like, it's just great awareness. And I just want to say thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate the both of you. And I was just thinking like the fact that they're here on a Saturday, just like giving value is just, it means so much to me. And I'm grateful to know you both and like, to be a part of your team and community, because these are the type of people that like I love to surround myself with. So like, thank you girls so much. Like you guys are amazing.
Love you so much.
Love you too, girl. Of course.
That's amazing. I love that. See, it's like you just drop a Zoom link and people get on at the right time. And so many times it's happened to me where I'm like, just the right message, right time, right place, hear the right thing, change
100%.
I think one of my biggest takeaways was the fact that I can see myself in all of these at different times, different places, different circumstances. And it's like, how do you navigate in each situation? And now knowing like the word, I feel like having the framework to things and be like, okay, I'm being the analytical or the intellectual in this moment. And it's like, okay, now I know what mode to stop or like which way to navigate that. I think having a name to things makes it make sense and it makes it clear. And so the fact that there's a framework now, appreciate you, Femi.
Fire. Of course. Anytime. I'm grateful for everyone that was on this call, that stayed on this call, and even the people that are rewatching this on our YouTube channel. I hope you got value and, apply this, teach this to the people around you and utilize it, because it's definitely powerful, and like you said, you see yourself in different situations and you're like, wow, this is the person that I was being. Ouch. I should have been more present, or I should have asked more questions, like, so definitely I'm grateful for all of you. It was a fire call. I'm grateful to be running this with you always. You're amazing, girl. Thank you.
Right back at you. I don't want to leave until we cover this one thing, but you had a whole mini training inside your training, and it was apply, change, teach, act. The definition of act. And applying, changing, and teaching, the fact that it is such a simple thing, and you guys can go back, she very briefly touched on it, and it's like so powerful that one little concept, when we actually act towards the things, we apply the information, we change our habits, and then we teach somebody how to do it. And I can't tell you how many times like I've actually changed, and then now I can teach somebody how to change because I actually did it. And so that right there is a gym and it's a bar and I love it. So
Facts. Yeah, that's really good there. I actually have it on my list because I have like a list of IG trainings that like I want to just go on IG and give value. And that's the first one I put. Cause I was like, people just need to understand that concept and just know it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
small, like you said, but it's so significant, so
Mhm.
powerful, for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I will see you guys soon. I know a few of us are going to Croatia.
Croatia.
Get it. Sienna, you guys going?
Yeah, she is.
Sick. I can't wait to see you guys in person. Give you guys a big hug. Ashley,
Facts.
just we're just wrapping up the call. But this will be up on our YouTube soon, so you can definitely catch the replay. And Michael, it's good to see you, and I will talk to you soon, guys. Hope you
All
guys have a
right.
nice day.
Be
Have a nice
great.
Sunday.
Stay positive.
Bye, guys.